Today on the newscast, breaking news. One of the most important archaeological discoveries in years uncovered in Israel. A new set of Dead Sea Scrolls featuring fragments of ancient biblical manuscripts. Get all the breaking details coming up. Hey folks, Erick Stakelbeck here. Welcome to the Watchman Newscast. As I mentioned at the top, we've got breaking news for you out of Israel. An incredible archaeological find uncovered in a remote area of the Judean Desert just south of Jerusalem in a cave, a daring excavation carried out by Israeli archaeologists uncovering the first new set of Dead Sea Scrolls in 60 years. Now the scrolls contain ancient writings dating back some 2,000 years. Among them are verses from the books of Nahum and the book of Zechariah, written in ancient Greek. This is an exciting discovery, to say the least, one of the most important in years, I would say, to see new Dead Sea Scrolls added to that amazing collection and to see the Bible come to life. But that's not all that these Israeli archaeologists found in this cave in the Judean Desert. They also found what may be the world's oldest basket. It is very well preserved, a pretty large basket they found there as well. Also coins dating back some 1900 years to the time of the Bar Kokhba revolt. Now that unfolded between the years 132 and 136 AD when Jewish rebels rebelled against the occupying Roman Empire. And this cave was used by these Bar Kokhba rebels who were kind of hiding out as the Roman Empire was closing in. Now this cave had become known as the Cave of Horrors because dozens of skeletons were found inside of it. Kind of morbid, I know, the skeletons of Bar Kokhba rebels who were making their last stand in that cave, hiding out as the Romans were closing in. Among the skeletons found in this latest excavation was the skeleton of a young child, a boy or a girl, dating back thousands of years. So another very fascinating discovery there as well, along with fragments of the Dead Sea Scrolls of ancient biblical manuscripts, ancient coins, and ancient basket. This is a big one, folks. Now, the Israel Antiquities Authority, once again, incredible work, groundbreaking work, no pun intended, just breaking new ground, literally, it seems every day with these amazing archaeological discoveries that they are announcing, bringing the Bible to life. We encourage you to check out the Israel Antiquities Authority online at their website and see some of the incredible things that they are uncovering. Now, when archaeological news breaks, and again, it's breaking nearly every day now, it seems, we like to go to our good friend, Watchman contributor, tour guide, and archaeologist, Danny the Digger Herman. He joined us today from his home in Israel to discuss this incredible archaeological find, a new set of Dead Sea Scrolls. By the way, the photos and video you see in the newscast today are courtesy of the Israel Antiquities Authority. Let's go to Danny. Danny the Digger Herman, thanks so much for joining us as always, my friend, from your home in Israel.
Thank you for having you on your show, Eric. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. I can't wait to be back in the land of Israel with you so we can cover these amazing archaeological discoveries like we have today. One of the most significant in years, Danny, a new set of Dead Sea Scrolls. Tell us why this is so important.
Yes, this is quite a sensational discovery indeed. The Dead Sea Scrolls, which is a topic we covered a few years ago in filming in Qumran, is it is the most important archaeological discovery ever coming from the Holy Land. But the last scrolls were found in Cave 11 in 1956, and since then, almost nothing. They found a few more scraps in the 1990s near Jericho, but they just announced, the Israel Antiquities Authority, the discovery of more significant find in caves in the southern part of the Judean Desert, like even south of Masada, which included clear material from the second Jewish rebellion, the rebellion of Bar Kokhba, and it included also a few fragments of biblical text. Biblical text, one quote from the book of Nahum, and another one from the book of Zechariah.
Yeah, Danny, we have them right here. I'm just going to read it right from my phone. The book of Zechariah, chapter 8, verses 16, 17. These are the things you are to do. Speak the truth to each other and render true and sound judgment in your courts. Do not plot evil against each other and do not love to swear falsely. I hate all this, said the Lord. And one more for you from the book of Nahum, which I also found, Danny, chapter 1, verses 5 and 6. The mountains quake before him and the hills melt away. The earth trembles at his presence, the world and all who live in it. Who can withstand his indignation? Who can endure his fierce anger? His wrath is poured out like fire. The rocks are shattered before him. By the way, folks, in case you didn't figure it out, it's talking about God Almighty. Danny, amazing
Yes.
stuff. What are your thoughts there?
Well, first of all, what beautiful type of expression, what beautiful writing it is, right? And now imagine picking from the ground a 2,000-year-old copy of such marvelous text. But for me personally, when I heard about this discovery, I was baffled by the fact that it was not in the original Hebrew language. Okay, you just read an English translation, and what they found in that cave is a Greek translation. And that for me was very, very interesting because the Dead Sea Scrolls in general were almost all in Hebrew. This was a group that was very concerned with speaking the original biblical language. And the guys who escaped to this cave some 60 years later perhaps forgot their Hebrew. Why was that rebel taking with him a copy of certain biblical texts, but in Greek? Okay, is this a testimony that maybe the Hebrew language is beginning to kind of diminish and not being less and less in use? I mean, it was never too publicly in use. Jesus' first language was Aramaic, but he definitely knew Hebrew and he definitely knew Greek. And the fact that this specific text is Greek, I find that quite interesting.
What may possibly be the oldest basket in the world, incredibly well preserved. Tell us a bit about that.
Yes. First of all, besides the scrolls, I also found some coins of the Bar Kokhba rebellion, which I always find to be so dramatic because they express basic expressions for freedom. This rebellion, both the first and the Bar Kokhba rebellion, was all about holy Jerusalem, freedom of Israel. These messages engraved in those coins are relevant also today. But besides clear evidence from the Bar Kokhba rebellion, they also found prehistorical remains. They found 6,000-year-old remains of a young child, which means it dates somewhere to the Chalcolithic age. But they found a 10,000-year-old basket in amazing state of preservation. It seems like it was done just a few weeks ago in some workshop in the West Bank, but it's 10,000 years old, Eric.
Yeah,
That's
it looks
really
like it could be
unbelievable.
used today, just judging from the pictures. And Yoli Schwartz and the Israel Antiquities Authority, great job with the photos and video as always. But as you said, Danny, so well preserved, incredible.
Yes, and it demonstrates, first of all, how in the right climate, organic material can be preserved for millennia. It also demonstrates, because you need to understand, Eric, this cave was already investigated in the 1960s by the famous archaeologist Yigael Yadin. He did make some very important discoveries, mostly of skeletons of those Bar Kokhba rebels, but he never completed the excavation. And it shows that if you continue to dig, if you continue to research, it's just a matter of time and you'll make more discoveries. Who knows what else is still hiding in those caves in the Judean Desert? And the reason we must continue this research, especially there, it's because I personally have been filming there for local TV. There's so much illegal looting going on in that area. That's really sad. And we are in a constant chase of digging those sites before looters get there.
Danny, that is a great point. I'm glad you mentioned that. So this was somewhat of a rescue operation, I guess you could say, by the Israel Antiquities Authority to get ahead of these looters who are trying to take these priceless artifacts. Okay, you're losing light there. Night is falling in Israel. I wish I was there with you again. But final thoughts real quick. What's the big takeaway here and what comes next?
In the sense of discoveries, who knows? There's only one way to find out, and that's continue the research. Let me update you about the pandemic. It's kind of behind us. We still need to wear masks, but the infection rate is clearly decreasing. Corona departments have been cleared out. They say that for this year on Seder night, there won't be any restrictions. We can all convene again as families. This is amazing. This is really, really great times. It is the Holy Land, and here, miracles are happening.
Thanks again to our good friend, Danny the Digger Herman, for joining us as always. You can check Danny out at DannyTheDigger.com. When Israel opens up for tourism, hopefully very soon, Danny is your man. Be sure to connect with him. He is the best. Thanks also to the Israel Antiquities Authority for continued history-making, excellent work. Folks, I love these biblical archaeology stories. It's so encouraging to me as a believer. It brings the Bible to life. And at a time when we're talking a lot here on the newscast about wars and rumors of wars and the Iran threat and all the rest, I love bringing you these kinds of stories to break things up and remind you that God still sits on the throne. He's still moving, and one of the many ways that he is revealing himself to the world today is through this biblical archaeology. The stones are literally crying out today. It is exciting to see all of this unfold, and we will keep bringing it to you every day, Monday through Friday, right here on the Watchman Newscast. Thanks for joining us today. Until tomorrow, God bless you. And remember, never hold your peace. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the Watchman Newscast. If you enjoyed this episode and want to see more, make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, click subscribe, and tap the bell icon to turn on notifications for new Watchman Newscast episodes every weekday.